for two reasons there. Traditionally, the way you deal with dynamite is if it's not in the state it's in right now, you would soak it in diesel fuel and then you would dispose of it that way, because the diesel fuel degenerates the explosive properties of the dynamite. But when you're in a situation where the material in the box it's in is on fire or smoking, that removes that option. The other thing is that we don't know what else is in the box, if there are any other items in the box that could create a different situation. So one of the potentials is if the bomb squad goes in there and moves things around, that could aggravate the situation and potentially cause it to detonate. So really appreciate everybody's patience. Appreciate the work you all have done to communicate with the residents that this is still an active scene, and urge people to stay away. We continue to urge people to stay out of this area. The evacuation zone is still in place. Right now, just so you're all aware, we're waiting. We're waiting right now. We're still dealing with a volatile situation. We've got additional resources that are coming in to assist, but we're in a waiting pattern right now to get a little better assessment of what we're dealing with and how to handle that situation. Also really want to emphasize again that this is, by all accounts, an isolated incident. There are no other known bomb threats. There are no other known explosives anywhere in Knoxville. We also continue to believe that there was nothing malicious. There was no criminal intent with this. To the best of our knowledge at this point, CMC Recycling is, I think you might all be aware of this, they're a metal recycling facility. They purchase material that is for scrap. And they believe that this was actually an item that they had purchased. They're not sure when they purchased it or who. They're working through that to figure out where they purchased it from, how they obtained it. But they are right now. They believe that the box had been on their property for at least several days, and so they went through their normal processes to open it. They did not know what was inside the box. When they went to cut it open and they used a torch to start scrapping it, that set the box on fire. And that's why we're in this situation. I know there's been some questions about, well, how is the box on fire? Why is it smoking? That's why. The manner in which they had tried to access the box is what put it in that situation. So again, I have no reason to believe that this is anything malicious. This is not a bomb. This is explosive material we're dealing with. And I appreciate all of you for getting that message out and trying to alleviate the fears of and the concerns of our community. So that's our update we have right now.
Yeah, I could just speak to the evacuees. The Jacob building, about 35 people spent the night in the Jacob building. The Red Cross has taken care of them, food, cots, and we have gone around and sent like an armored vehicle around the neighborhood with a speaker system to send messages about the evacuation, both in English and in Spanish. That will continue today in case there anybody who didn't get the message. And the Jacob building will be open all of today and as needed for anyone who maybe they spent the night with a family member but need to get out of the house today and want someplace to go. The Jacob building is available for them. So we appreciate everyone's patience, and please ask everyone to stay out of this zone.
Again, we want to emphasize how much we appreciate all of our partners. KFD's been here with us from the minute the call came out. We've also got many of our city partners. You've got AMR. You've got all these agencies that have rallied around to assist here and help people get out of the zone. Kima quickly getting with Red Cross to set up the emergency shelter. We hope to have a better timeline of what we can expect, what residents can expect when this evacuation zone we can clear up this evacuation zone and let people back in here. But again, until we know more information, we're continuing to urge people, implore people to stay out of this area, because we still don't really fully know what we're dealing with. We have a pretty good idea, but we don't fully know what we're dealing with. And so we should have a better idea here in the next couple hours.
Do you know if there's any idea that the evacuation zone might be expanded?
There are no plans right now to expand the evacuation zone.
Is that...
You said there were additional resources being brought in. What are those additional resources?
We're happy to get you all the additional resources when we get through this, but we've obviously relied a little bit on ATF and the FBI's bomb squad and their expertise. But we're happy to share with you some of those additional resources we brought in when we get through this situation.
Is that what we're kind of waiting on right now for investigators to get a little more information about what's inside the box before any action is taken?
Yeah, that's a piece of it. Of course, we have the one element where the box is on fire and smoking. The other element is we don't really know all the contents of the box. We can see what we can see through the drones and the other resources we've sent in, but we don't really fully know exactly what else might be in that box.
And you mentioned yesterday that the evacuation will continue into tonight. Is that timeline still the same, or is it kind of unsure?
People need to expect that the evacuation zone could continue into the night. That timeline could change, and we should have a better idea later this morning. And we'll provide another briefing once we get a little bit more definitive timeline. But we think the expectation for residents should be that this evacuation zone could continue into the night.
Is the box still smoking right now?
I'm not sure what state it's in right now. That we're just getting light here, and the bomb squad is in a waiting pattern to continue their evaluation of it.
Can you push how serious the situation in terms of how volatile dynamite could be? I don't know how much experience you might have with that, but the seriousness of it in that this is an explosive that we're dealing with.
I would maybe defer to somebody who's dealing with more hazardous material, but it's obviously a volatile situation. Maybe.
Yeah. So one of the things that we really don't know is how old this dynamite is and what kind of shape it's in. Once they're able to get in and actually, literally, kind of peel this box back out, they'll know what kind of shape it is and how volatile it is. Could it explode? Yes. That's why we're taking all of these precautions. We really don't know what shape it's in. We believe it to be unstable, and until we prove otherwise, we're going to treat it like it could explode. That doesn't mean it will, just that's the precaution we want to take today.
Are there anything like critical facilities like hospitals, fire department, anything kind of in this evacuation zone that's also, causing issues?
So we do have several businesses that are unfortunately closed because of it. I mean, you can look down Western Avenue and see that there's a church. I believe it's USA Foods that's right behind us here. So yes, there are some businesses that are closed. Ideally, this comes to an end today and everybody gets to open back up Monday morning like they normally do. But we're just going to have to play through and see. There's no hospitals in danger. There's no nursing homes in danger. Nothing like that. And we've got a really good, no schools in danger. Thankfully, Knox County Schools was on fall break. But we've got a really good idea about what's inside of this zone, and we'll continue to watch it very closely.
The box that you guys found it in, was it completely sealed, or is it just something that's closed? And would you think that this would be, because you guys said originally it might be an accident or like unintentional?
Well, our understanding is the box was sealed on the CMC recycling property. It was probably a piece of property that they had purchased and had been on their grounds for a couple of weeks. They had purchased for scrap. That's what CMC recycling does. And it was locked, and at some point they went to open it and they took a torch to it to start the scrapping process, and that's what ignited the box. So we do have the ability to see in and get a glimpse of what's inside, and that's what they did. They cut it open. They saw what was inside, backed off, and called us immediately. But we just don't know the full contents of the box.
Mark, this might be a question for you if you can answer, but just how does one use dynamite nowadays? What does that process look like? Where could this dynamite potentially come from?
Well, we have no idea where it came from because we don't know how old it is, where it was stored, or anything like that. Eventually, I'm sure the investigation will help us figure that out. But typically, dynamite is used in construction processes. If you go along Alcoa Highway, they dynamite on Alcoa Highway from time to time. When new buildings are built, sometimes they have to dynamite the rock out in order to build buildings. So it's used very commonly in construction processes. That's typically what we see it mostly used.
Again, we understand the inconvenience this has caused, but our job at the end of the day is collectively to keep people safe. And what we believe we're dealing with is this is the right thing to do. The right thing to do was to get people out of this zone and keep them out of this zone until we can resolve this. So we'll have another update as soon as we can this morning once we get a little better idea of what we're dealing with, what the timeline might be looking like, and when we can expect to potentially leave this evacuation zone. But until then, we appreciate all of your efforts to help get the message out and keep our residents safe. Appreciate you guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.